Hello and welcome to this tactical analysis of the Manchester City versus Red Bull match. We're going to start with Manchester City's 3-2 deep or midfield setup, City's 4-2-4 press, and touch on their adjustments in the second half. Red Bull Leipzig's 2-4-3-1 deep build-up, their 3-1 shape in midfield, and their adjustments late in the second half. If you enjoy the videos, please consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up. It goes a really long way. And with that, let's get into it. So we've got this scenario in the 48th minute, which I believe exemplifies Manchester City's positions and RB Leipzig's press. First of all, note the counter-pressing position here of Diaz, Ake looking to support Grealish and Gundogan, who were working this left-hand side. On the right-hand side, typically it was De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva working that side. Due to Manchester City's dominance, Red Bull were reliant on Timo Werner and Forsberg as their outlets, typically with Forsberg playing centrally as the centre forward for them to pass into, and with Werner more typically hanging out on the left-hand side, trying to take advantage of the fact that Stones, the right back, was pushing into a right CDM position to pair with Rodri. And City are able to stop Red Bull's counter-attack here and get the ball back into Grealish, who looks to combine with De Bruyne in this left-hand side channel after Gundogan slips. And then from there, Manchester City are able to work this left-hand side, and Red Bull Leipzig fall into a 4-4-1-1 with Lima and Haidara expected to help the fullbacks to cover those half spaces. So here, Haidara is going to want to push out and just cover either Grealish dribbling inside or passing into a wide centre midfielder here, such as Gundogan or De Bruyne in those half spaces. Red Bull are able to deflect Manchester City in this scenario, but we can see here De Bruyne looking to take up that position in the half space and Haidara marking him. Alternatively to the underlapping run by a number 8, you could also have Haaland make that run. Despite how deep the RB Leipzig defensive line was, he would still be able to get in behind, and Manchester City were able to fashion a number of dangerous attacks that way. Anyway, RB Leipzig are able to force a retreat out of Manchester City, where we get to see that 3-2 shape that we mentioned, as well as also that combo on the left-hand side here with Bernardo Silva combining with De Bruyne, and the 3-2 at the back with John Stones moving into that right CDM position. This being against the 4-2-4 by RB Leipzig, with Szoboszlai off here on the right-hand side, and Raum pushing up from left back. Because RB Leipzig commit players in the way they do, it creates space for Haaland and forces RB Leipzig to retreat, given just how dangerous Haaland would be with a pass in behind, allowing Gundogan to eventually play the ball out wide here for Grealish. Manchester City were able to play through the RB Leipzig press and play it out into Grealish numerous times due to just how incisive their 1-2s were, and on this occasion it leads to a goal. Next, we have this opportunity in the 53rd minute from a corner kick. This is one of the most obviously planned routines, where we have Bernardo Silva free, being able to pull to the blind side of these defenders who already have players to mark, eventually leading to Bernardo having a free header uncontested and knocking it back to the back post now for Haaland, who inevitably scores. But I think it's key to mention here just how dominant Manchester City were from their corner kicks, scoring 3 of their 7 goals from corner kicks, and you can argue 4 if you include the rather harsh penalty which is awarded from a corner kick as well. Okay, so going back a little bit to the 39th minute, we've got one of the few occasions where Red Bull are able to set up in their midfield possession shape with a 3-1, with Campbell dropping between the 2 centre-backs, allowing the full-backs to turn into wing-backs holding the width and the forwards to work the space between the lines. This being against Manchester City's 4-4-2 shape, which alternatively could become a 4-2-4, where the wide midfielders, when they were able to push RB Leipzig back, would push higher up to join De Bruyne and Haaland, and then from there they would have hybrid pressing positions where initially they're marking their fullbacks, but then as the ball is played to one side, so for example into Gvardiol, then Grealish will press from his side and narrow so that he will press onto Orban, with De Bruyne and Haaland marking Haidara and Campbell or Lima, whoever's playing the other centre midfielder. And so here we start to see that. So we see Bernardo Silva start to push out, we see Grealish starting to pull away from his fullback, and they start to force RB Leipzig into retreating. Eventually the ball gets to Blažević, who was pressed heavily this game, and on this occasion he chooses to try and chip the ball back out towards this left hand side to Raum, given how narrow Bernardo Silva has got by this point. But Stones has pushed higher to mark block Raum and is able to contest this ball and header it back, so that now Bernardo Silva can go and press towards Gvardiol. This eventually leads to Manchester City really narrowing the options for RB Leipzig in this bottom left-hand corner, eventually leading to Rodri winning possession in the RB Leipzig defensive third and being able to cross it in for Haaland in a very dangerous position. But fortunately for RB Leipzig, they're able to win a free kick and relieve the pressure. Okay, moving on to this scenario in the 69th minute, we still have Manchester City building up in that 3-2 shape, although now they have Sergio Gomez moving into a left CDM position paired with Phillips. This being against an adjusted press from RB Leipzig, where now that they have a back five, they instead press with a 4-2-4 shape, where on this occasion, I believe it's Raum pushes up into the left wing, left forward position here, and then they have in centre midfield Lima and Campbell, and the forwards try to press narrow, try and make it difficult for Manchester City to be able to pass through the centre, with the centre midfielders behind them, such as Campbell or Lima, looking to try and help the fullbacks when Manchester City are forced into these wider areas. So we can see that narrowness here with that front four and the RB Leipzig midfielders working the space behind, looking to try and press into this left-hand side space if Manchester City progress up their right-hand side. And so that's what we see here. And so eventually the ball ends up with De Bruyne in the right-hand side, but he's already under pressure and he just clears the ball up the line, allowing RB Leipzig to regain possession and start to try and build up with their adjusted deep build-up versus Manchester City's 3-2-4-1 press, which is led here by Alvarez. RB Leipzig at this point instead were building up with a back three and Campbell as the centre midfielder just ahead of them. So they would have Orban, Gvardiol and Simakan as this back three, and then eventually they have the likes of Dani Olmo, Lima, Szoboszlai trying to work the space just behind that four in the 3-2-4-1 press of Manchester City to help RB Leipzig progress. And so we see here RB Leipzig seeking to progress in the right hand side using Hendricks, but alternatively on occasion Simakan also look to try and play 1-2s as Hendricks does here to progress through the Manchester City press. This made a change from RB Leipzig being relegated to counterattacks, utilising Forsberg's centre forward position out of possession and Werner hanging out on the left wing. So we see RB Leipzig looking to progress. We've got Simakan still back here, but far side we've got Raum looking to try and push up higher and hold the width on the left hand side, whilst the rest of the forwards are narrowing centrally, looking to create a 3-2-5 shape. So Campbell is able to play the ball back centrally, with Andre Silva having narrowed from the left hand side and Yusuf Poulsen threatening in behind. Unfortunately, Silva here under pressure from Phillips isn't able to connect with Hendricks, the right back, and Manchester City are able to win back easy possession. And with that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, consider sharing it on social media, maybe subscribing. And with that,